God came to me in a dream and told me he wasn't mean, that all of this was in my head and my wish to constantly be dead was wrong all along. He called me to his side, but I kept wishing to die so I could hear, and he was so near. Now all day I walk away from the pain that filled me inside. First thing I cry, I just want to hide. Thank God I didn't die, 'cause I've gotta come alive. Inside of me is where God has always been. We're all part of the all, so we can't fall. We simply build up a wall, hiding away. God came to me in a dream and told me he wasn't mean, that all of it was in my head and my wish to constantly be dead was wrong all along. He called me to his side, but I kept wishing to die so I couldn't hear, and he was so near. Yeah, all day I walk away from the pain that filled me inside. Bursting I cry, I just want to hide. Thank God I didn't die. Inside I've gotta come alive. Inside of me is where God has always been. We're all part of the all, so we can fall. We simply built up a wall, hiding away. Worried we'll have to pay for all crimes, for the thoughts on our minds. God is the divine, he'll help us shine, be born again. So remember, my friends, God is divine and lies inside. Into your heart, be born again, smart, knowing this time you are divine. He'll help us shine, be born again. So remember, my friends, God is divine and lies inside.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on this Transcending Ascension Live. I figured I would put the video first because it takes people a few minutes to even notice that I'm doing a live, especially because this was not pre-planned in any way. I just haven't been doing my Sunday episodes because it just doesn't feel aligned, and it felt aligned today. So here we are, and we are going to jump back into the Course in Miracles where we left off, just to give us a tangible groundwork to where to discuss keeping our own thoughts as the most sacred thing there really is in this world, because the all is mind and our thoughts make reality. And A Course in Miracles is such a fantastic way for us to tangibly get our hands on that. I'm all about the practical solutions of how do we actually ascend, not just learn about fancy ideas or detrimental conspiracy theories, which are possibly all both true, depending on your timeline. But what can we always do about it? And that is staying strong within thine own self, to know thine own self. Because why? Because you are God. You are that much God. You are that divine, and you are that important. So let's dive in to our, here we go. Boom. There we go. So you can see what I'm seeing. You just follow along, because if you ever wanted to get your hands on this book, it is available for free online, or it's not much money if you want to buy it anywhere. But this website right here, which you can see in the top, is, no, you can't see it. It's just acim.org. AC, so A Course in Miracles, acim.org. And then lesson 9, I see nothing as it is now. This idea obviously follows from the two preceding ones, but while you may be able to accept it intellectually, it is unlikely that it will mean anything to you as of yet. However, understanding is not necessary at this point. In fact, the recognition that you do not understand is a prerequisite for undoing your false ideas. These exercises are concerned with practice, not with understanding. You do not need to practice what you already understand. It would indeed be circular to aim at understanding and assume that you have it already. Because the layers of understanding, just in case you're diving in for the first time, is what the Course in Miracles is basically helping us unwire our years of brainwashing, tiny step at a time. So sometimes if you're further ahead, this can feel like, what? I'm already, no, because if you have things to tease out and unpack, then your levels of understanding matter and how much that you really disintegrate the old understandings. It is difficult for the untrained mind to believe that what it seems to picture is not there. This idea can be quite disturbing and may meet with active resistance in any number of forms, yet that does not preclude applying it. No more than that is required for these or any other exercises. Each small step will clear a little of the darkness away, and understanding will finally come to lighten every corner of the mind that has been cleared of the debris that darkens it. These exercises, for which 3 or 4 practice periods are sufficient, involve looking around you and applying the ideas for the day to whatever you see. Remember the need for its indiscriminate application and the essential rule of excluding nothing. For example, I do not see this typewriter as it is now. I do not see this telephone as it is now. I do not see this arm as it is now. Begin with things that are nearest to you and then extend the range outward. I do not see that coat rack as it is now. I do not see that door as it is now. I do not see that face as it is now. It is emphasized again that while complete inclusion should not be attempted, specific exclusion must be avoided. Be sure you are honest with yourself in making this distinction. You may be tempted to obscure it. So this would make more sense if you tuned into the previous episodes and understand how we went tiny step by tiny step and said, it's all because of past memory. So we're trying to undo all the brainwashing, and undo all the brainwashing is so much deeper than this book originally even realized when they first wrote it, when it was first channeled and brought through, because they weren't even like, it was like the 60s or the 70s, and they were just getting the hint of how corrupt the government and everything around them was. And now we are finding ourselves in such a thicker matrix, a false matrix that's been allowed to build itself to such high proportions. And those matrices are mostly actually your corporations. Like, we want to talk about the Rockefellers, and absolutely they've been handing all this stuff out in the background. But who is their front henchman? And that's all the corporations. That's so many, everything. That's all of TV. That's all of the government. That's all of the medical industry. Like, it's almost everything that we saw as a power or as an entity that was taking care of us, we now know is not for our better good. And this can leave people in their awakening really, really just like almost suicidal, nihilistic. What's the point? Why should we carry on? Well, I was in that place many, many, many years ago, because that's exactly how it can feel when you're learning all the conspiracies, yet you're not getting true within thine own self, because we do want to undo all the brainwashing of all the previous things we've thought. And at first that can feel like unbalancing, like, oh my God, what am I? This is like, I don't actually see reality as it is. I'm seeing reality as I've been brainwashed to see reality, right? But you have to let yourself sit in that space of, I don't know who I am. Who am I? I don't know. I don't know who I am. And then allow yourself to be born again day by day by day, following your passions, following your desires in a very heart-centered, aligned way. So not in a way of like, oh, I want to show my neighbor off, so I need a new car, like that old cliche way. And we all have our modern day ways of what makes us want to show other people up. And houses and cars are just one of those things that it crosses everyone's mind, because they represent the shell. So how like our own beauty can be so, as you could tell, I care so much about, it should be important to care about what you look like, but just like it should be all right to care about what your house looks like. But what's the difference? Do you like it, or are you doing it for somebody else to like? And what is the depths of work you're putting into that? How fake or false is that? And this is why teasing out the self, because sometimes when you first get into this, you don't even realize. That's why they unpack the subconscious like that, because you might not realize how deep the programming goes within yourself. It's coming from the very moment you popped it. Before you even popped out of the womb, things were already coming into you that were false programming. There's so much false programming around us, and the solution is building up a true self. That is the only solution. And then once you build up a true self, you can go take down every entity that's causing us to be locked into any kind of a paradigm. And then the way that looks is going to be different for everybody, because that's what we're realizing. And that's also what the age of Aquarius calls us to, is an individuated reality that is specific for you. And that's doing anything and whatever. That's always what I do. So many different things. And now I'm doing music, like I started the episode with today. And that's because we want to find what reaches the highest God spark of our self, because you don't need any other gods besides your own higher self. It doesn't need a name. If you want to give it a name, if you want to give it a being that it is, as long as it's not boxing you in, do what you please. Technically, we're a bunch of different beings streaming down a signal into this one vessel, and your awareness and your witness, that is the God that is all God. You and your sense of self, that's you. You're not going anywhere, ever. You're never going to die, ever. The only thing that's going to change, and you can change it right now in this life, is the paradigms you find yourself being burdened with, or even living out in a happy way. Like, so you choose every single facet of this reality, especially the more you unpack the subconscious programming. And even when you're in subconscious programming, to a degree, you are also choosing that, because it's a free will universe. And they're always you hints and clues in movies and books and in music. They're telling you in every announcements they straight up make on the news. And then there's so many things you'd be like, what? Because they have to tell you in some way, shape, or form. And what the subconscious, like, programmed self will do is like, oh yeah, well, of course, like, it's just part and parcel with how that works. Oh yeah, no. Look and look clearly. We can go, it is what it is, because you don't want to panic or freak out. You never want to give anything any undue importance, good or bad. That's the key for any kind of a manifestation that you're trying to accomplish, because any importance will unbalance it one way or the other. The entire aligned self and divine bliss and joy is middle. It is middle. So don't worry. I used to get caught, oh, so I can't be happy. No, you can be happy. You can be happy. The difference is really, really wanting it. Like, oh, I want it. I need it. Or I really don't want it. I really don't want to see that. Like, either of those is what you don't want to do. You do want to follow your desires, your happiness, your bliss, but keep it balanced, because what that means is if you don't get it, you need to also be fine with that not happening. Let's go to a commercial break right now.
In the brain, in the cranium, there is the cerebrum. And in the cerebrum, and in particular the claustrum is sitting right there in the middle of the head, virtually. From the claustrum, there is a secretion, brain fluid. And this fluid is an oil. And in ancient times, this fluid, in Greek, it's called Christos. It's called the Christ. It's this beautiful fluid which comes from the cerebrum and pours down the spinal cord. It goes down the spinal cord and it reaches the sacral plexus, right next door to the sacrum, which are the 5 second bottommost fused vertebrae bones at the bottom of the spinal column. The bottommost portion of the spinal column is called the coccyx. Then just above that is the sacrum, 5 fused bones. So the sacral plexus is connected to the sacrum. And the fluid which comes from the cerebrum pours down the spinal cord and comes to the bottommost part of the spinal cord. Now, the claustrum is otherwise known as the holy claustrum, simply because of this beautiful oil, this Christos, that is produced and secreted. You see, the word secret comes from secretion.
Thank you for staying for that commercial break. So yeah, all you need to worry about. And it's a lot. So it's not like, oh, it's easy. No. But it's why you want to make sure it's your top focus, because it's going to take a lot of work. For one thing, you're probably the first person in your ancestral line in thousands of years that has, which is your entire ancestral line, because at a certain point you stop being related to that degree. Anyways, you are the first one to break those family traumas. So just because mom and dad or whatever happened to you, like whatever they did, whoever they were, you're not going to print that out and repeat it in your own children. Like if I had gone into my dad's work, which I could do because he works at home, like he had a garage at home, I would get yelled at. You know what I mean? Like, but no, that's not, we don't repeat that. Children are important. Like whatever was done to you, you're not going to repeat it. Simply just enlightening is already doing more than they ever did, because they're the type of people that just wanted to put their heads in the sands and just let themselves be told what was. Like, especially because a lot of us came from baby boomers, but there was awakened baby boomers. We had the entire like hippie revolution, and a lot of them stayed awakened. So you may or may not be the first one, but either way, all of humanity is going to have to go through so much darkness to heal the earth herself, because the earth herself is holding hundreds and thousands of years of darkness. Because, you know, whatever story you want to get into, Pan, Lemuria, Atlantis, all of them being true, and it just being all piles of what the different variables. I know people like the Anunnaki stories, which I'm less on. That might have happened. It might have been a thing, but it wasn't necessarily as big of a story to the overarching story of humanity. And whatever you want to believe, it doesn't matter. What we do know is that for at least 300,000 years, the earth has been more or less sick. She's been more or less perverted. Something is up with her. Something has gone awry. And it's up to us as beings that live not just on her, but are a part of her, like her neurons, as Matthias DeStefano would say. He calls us her neurons. We are the ones who need to figure this out and enlighten ascension. That's naturally the alchemical process that's going to heal the earth. And then how do we do this? How do you do this? And that's so specific to you. But it takes taking every little thing that happens to you and looking at it honestly. Whatever it is, bad or good, dissect it and place it in a way that is aligned with your desired future. So first, decide what your aligned future is. And sometimes, especially if we're still waking up, we can only see a step or two ahead down the road, because we're not there enough yet to fully be able to imagine the totality of what is possible. So for example, I know I could go be president tomorrow, and I'm Canadian, but I know I could go be president because the mind is that important. But it's not just, that's if my mind 100% believed it, right? But then I also know about 95% of what's going on in my mind at any given point is subconscious. So that means to become president, it's probably going to take longer than tomorrow unless I can somehow get my entire mind to believe it. And that's why people get into magic, because it helps the mind get underway quicker. But magic has consequences, karmic consequences, probably because you're pushing the dial too fast. And your own subconscious is the one that's going to cause the consequences. So you need to find all the ways, tips and tricks to get your subconscious mind to be the one that believes. So that means inch by inch by inch. So let's say you're an alcoholic now and you have dreams of a better future. Well, first is find a way to not be an alcoholic anymore, because that is going to be holding you so far back. That has to go for any kind of a future to get better. If you're capable of drinking less, that's a good way to baby step it. Most people have to quit completely. And I'll tell you one thing, people often find themselves addicted to the sugar, and sugar is its own problem, but you're probably already addicted to sugar anyways. So that's a jump. You could switch alcohol for candy. Okay. It's not perfect, because that's how we do it step by step by step. As someone who tried it, all the ways I would try to fix myself from, black to white, you need a lot of gray in the middle, because it's just going to have backlash. Like you might be able to force yourself to do these next steps for like a week, but it's going to have backlash. And then you're like not going to want to try for a while. It's better to step little by little in the ways that you can do it. So let's say you're already You already don't drink, but you eat really bad. Okay, well, let's work some vitamins in first. Let's get some this works if you're an alcoholic too, because you need vitamins to think clearly. A lot of the times we're held back by our ability to think clearly. So what do? Let's look at all the ways we can think clearly. There's certain things coming out now, and I take it myself, but like creatine. And I used to work at a juice store in a gym, and that they gave creatine. It was known as a gym thing. Well, it's coming online now. It's not just a gym thing. It's a brain thing, creatine. You want it for your actual brain power to think better, to move better, to do better. And we know this about mushrooms, that mushrooms do that too, not just the psychedelic kind, but your lion's mane, your reishi, there's cordy, there's many, many, many. I drink mud water, unsanctioned commercial, and that has matcha in it too. I do matcha and mud water. Mud water, it's like a brand, and they just mix all the mushrooms together, all the best ones. It's like heavy lion mane, and I like it. I was doing it myself because you can also do it separately yourself. I was buying all the mushrooms. I found it actually cheaper to buy theirs, and then hopefully it's people get caught all the time for fillers. So let's just hope there's no fillers, but that helps my brain work better. Another thing is I used to be addicted to energy drinks because I'm a projector, no energy, but a lot of us find ourselves lethargic. This world sucks. I don't want to do anything. Well, Red Bull makes everything better, doesn't it? But what could I do instead? Taurine. You can get taurine as a supplement, and taurine is that part in the energy drink. Besides the sugar, obviously the sugar helps too, but it's the part that's going to get you less. It's like an antidepressant. It gets you feeling happier and just, I don't know, you breathe cleaner. Like there's just more joy in every moment. And like, that's the kind of thing Red Bull would do for me. And it was very like an antidepressant, better than antidepressants, which I was on many, 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 many years ago now, over 10 years ago. But they work for a tiny bit, but honestly, Red Bull worked better than any of them. So whatever you can do. And if you're stuck in a depression, you're better to be on Red Bull than to be in the depression and to work your way up. Now, this is what I drink. This is my happy juice filled with vitamins, filled with brain power that's going to keep me thinking and moving better. What can you do? Every little thing that you can do today to make tomorrow better. Do it. So if it means going to bed a little earlier, that's still a problem for me because my husband works late and I want to see him. If I go to bed early, I don't get to see him. So I stay up and I'm tired. But it's still actually earlier than we used to. We used to stay up till like 3 or 4 in the morning just because we were night owl people. But that's not healthy for a life. Like whatever you can do. Can you get out into the garden more? Like we moved into the country. Like there's so many things that we can do to take back control of our lives, because it's easy to get in a panic state of, oh, I have no control over my life. No, actually you do. And funny enough, and then you're like, oh, how's that help with any of these other things? It just naturally does. Once the universe starts to see that you are the one in control of your reality, nice rhyming there, then you are going to just set the stage. Your auric field will get stronger. And likewise, what starts to manifest in your lived reality is now better because it's always reading your mind. Your mind is all. The all is mind. I say this all the time because the depths of the understanding of this are not being tangibly realized for people to improve their lives as fast as they could be. And so that's why the tips and the tricks of feeding the subconscious with ways to reprogram it are actually to get the all that is mind in a better state. So a better program, better software, computer technology. And then what? Consider something in the universe is coming down constantly, reading your code, reading your code, reading your code. You are code, reading your code, and then manifesting that matrix style into your reality. And then that sounds like that. I have no idea where people got determinism from, because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Because even if you stuck to it and somehow followed your astrology is still varied. There is absolutely no such thing as determinism. What people mistake as determinism was the fact that you could look at a timeline stream, because there's no such thing as time and space. You could look at a timeline stream and read the end of it, but that's just one timeline stream. And no one's, I couldn't imagine, and the way I live life, to stay on one, you would never change your mind. You would never change your mind if you were to stay on one timeline stream. There would never be a consideration of multiple possibilities, because every time you try to think about multiple possibilities, you just made multiple timelines. So the options are endless, and you are never, ever, ever stuck. but it can certainly feel like that because the only thing that ever kept us in a lower place was ignorance. They kept us ignorant. It's why they killed the witches. Some of them, sure, were probably witches, but even still, the amount of power a witch would have is the amount of power she has today, which is some things, sure. She could probably poison someone easier than she could do a spell to kill them because she would know how herbs and everything work. But the truth is that what they killed was the midwives, the sages, the shamans, the people that knew of the earth, of her magic, projectors, people that just inherently got downloads of information and could say it without knowing why. The seers, the mediums, all those style of people were the ones they burned as witches. And what they were really doing was burning the people that could tell you the truth. It almost sounds like the pharmaceutical plan was put into place hundreds of years ahead of time. Think about that. Hundreds of years ahead of time. Now, who would do something like that? An entity that does not live in the same age as us. You know what I mean? That's ageless, that is coming in and out of our space-time, and or is ageless, or at least when it comes to us, they might, live hundreds of thousands of years, but to us, that's pretty close to immortal. So this plot that's been put against us, all the humans involved are just useful idiots. They're just, honestly, if they had any common sense, they'd realize you cannot hurt another human without hurting yourself too. There's no way around it. Even if you disconnect yourself from the source, which is this thing they say about certain archonic forces or demons, things that are disconnected. Nobody's disconnected. You can't be disconnected from the all that is all. All you can do is be in a state where you're ignoring, where you're choosing to stay disconnected, which we can do ourselves. So we start of ignorance and we're kind of naturally disconnected. So you could say, nah, I don't want to do that. It's too hard. It's too hard. I forgot what I was Googling, but I was Googling something and it came up in Reddit. I don't like open Reddit, but like I could see what it was writing and it was like, how do I It is hard. It is hard. I know I make fun of it a lot because I'm doing that to myself. I'm one of the, not right now, not anymore, because it's been years though. I've been doing this for years. So I know what it's like. I know what it feels like. And I don't whine now because there's no point. And it's only going to make things worse. That's what I've experienced over my years of getting into these moments and realizing if I stub a toe and go, you know what I mean? I'm going to cause more stuff for myself later. Like just last night, I forget what happened first, but next thing you know, I dropped my crystal and I was literally like, and I pick it up again. And then I go up, I dropped it again. It goes under the bed this time. And then but that's when I was like, Diana, you did this yourself by complaining the first time you dropped it. So they made me drop it again and made it worse, and it's not they, there's never they, it's me. It's my own higher self. We make our own reality. So every little problem that comes your way, you kind of have to take it on the chin and just be like, okay, what's the lesson within? Because you can cry about it if you really want. And know always that pure sadness. So pure sadness. So let's say I dropped the crystal and it wasn't like a petty, oh, how could you do that? Because we get this kind of like, I'm human. How dare you do this to me? Or that's like kind of how my very fire self takes the, how dare you? And I get very like, don't you know who I am? We're like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like humans can be very much like that. But let's say I dropped my crystal and I was just like, actually, and like boo-hooed and cried about it, right? And actually was just so devastated. That would actually be legitimate. That would actually be real, right? But it's not going to happen about a dropping of a crystal unless I'm ridiculously water signed, which I'm not. So some people can genuinely cry about that and go ahead. And genuine anger too, when it's like a righteous anger. And righteous anger, you'll notice, will barely ever come because of you. Because something truly righteous, it's not coming for yourself. So it'll be because you saw a kid get bullied, or I've seen people on Twitter get bullied by other Twitter accounts. And that's when I'll be like, it's like a different anger. It's not like my, how dare you do this to me? It's I don't know. It's like the fire of God, if I was to explain it. Like, thou shalt not be allowed. Like, it's just this thing. And then the words that come out when defending someone are not petty. They're not like, well, no, it's very like, it's even compassionate to the person that you're like clapping back at or confronting. Like, because you should always confront people. In fact, we need to learn how with as much compassion as you would show the person you're defending. It needs to be equal. It needs to be, because it's coming from a place of love. When it's righteous anger, it's actually another side of love, because it's coming from, it's not even an I want place. It's a God space. So you'd have to actually experience it, because it's one of those things that kind of transcends words. And I don't remember where I was with that because of the constant shutting off. And I appreciate everyone staying when it was shut off. I noticed no one leaves when these happen. So I do appreciate it, and I apologize. And I'll just wrap it up here because it's not going to stop. I realize it's better at night, and that's why I do my podcast at night now. So it's just something about the sun shining on the dish. I don't know. I'm just guessing. It's better at night. But yes, so be true to yourself, be in your own sovereignty, dig out the self. This is why knowing yourself is your true strength, because the more you know who you truly are, the more you can invest in things for your future. Like me doing my music now, I talked myself out of it for years because it's silly. And the AI makes the music for me. I write the lyrics. I give it prompts of like the kind of music I want to be. And then it makes my music, because it's my words, it's my scripts, it's my emotions, it's my thoughts, it's my feelings, and divine, because a lot of it's kind of channeled, but it's channeled through me. So it's very personal. And having that being put out, and it's just opening channels of talking about making real music down the future with people, and just all these things are growing. And it's like, yes, we are being handed all these options right now to really, 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 and if it might be just closing at a circle. This might just be a temporary phase to let go of some past life thing where I was a musician. And funny enough, I did a past life thing once, and it said I was a British rocker and a man from the 70s. And I died in the 70s or the 80s. I forget. But if that's true, I don't know how true that is. But I could be finishing at a cycle. You never know. But it's on my path. It was a calling that wouldn't stop. And I had to finish out the cycle. And I'm doing it. Or it's going to be my life. I doubt it, because I doubt you can be like an AI rock star. And I've tried to learn instruments, and it's just not a thing for me. I mean, I'm never going to give up, because I like playing the guitar and the piano. But like, could I get up on stage and not be booed off? No. So you teach their own. It's really so deeply unique, but you'll never learn all your little unique things unless you sit down with yourself, unless you question almost everything you think to an annoying degree, and listen to your intuition. If you feel something off, like I have the ability now, when I say something, I can catch myself and be like, Dinah, that was off. Like when I dropped the crystal, Dinah, that was off. And like, okay, why was it off? Maybe you shouldn't blame the crystal for falling, or maybe an entity didn't push you, so you dropped it. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, and just unpacking, because we so quickly go to victim mentality, which is not for our better good. So you should never be allowing yourself to go to victim mentality. What you want to do if you catch yourself playing victim to anything is say, I cancel and nullify any permission you think you have over me. I cut any cords you think you might have over me. You do not, this is the most important part, you do not have permission to be involved in my life. You are not energetically permitted to come close to me. And just continuously say things that take away permission, because a lot of these things you'll find need permission. If something is messing with you, it needs permission. Free will universe. So keep your sovereign discerning power. Remember, it's a free will universe. Remember, you choose everything, but a lot of it's subconscious. So let's take out that subconscious, because you are God. You are divine. You are immortal. You are the witness. You are all that ever is or ever will be. So lots of love to you now and forever. Thank you for tuning in to Transcending Ascension. Goodbye for now.